The forbidden path, deep in the heart of the wilderness, beyond the reach of any map, lay a forgotten village. It had no name, no records, and no visitors. Locals in nearby towns spoke of it only in whispers, warning travelers never to wander too far into the woods. Those who had dared to enter were never seen again. Daniel Hayes, a journalist obsessed with uncovering urban legends, scoffed at the tales. Determined to expose the truth, he set out alone, ignoring the warnings of the villagers. He had spent months researching the legend, and the thought of being the first to document the mysterious village thrilled him. As he ventured deeper into the dense forest, the air grew colder, unnaturally so. The towering trees blocked out the sunlight, casting long shadows that seemed to move when he wasn't looking. Then, just as the sun dipped below the horizon, he saw it, the village, hidden in a valley shrouded in mist. A village frozen in time. The village was eerily silent. The wooden houses, though intact, were covered in vines and dust, as if untouched for centuries. There were no signs of life, yet the lanterns lining the cobblestone streets burned with an eerie golden glow. Daniel's footsteps echoed through the emptiness as he cautiously made his way forward. He peered into one of the houses, expecting to find abandoned ruins, but what he saw made his blood run cold. The dining table was set, bowls filled with food that had not rotted. Chairs were pulled back slightly, as if the occupants had just risen and left in the middle of a meal. A cup of tea still let out steam, but there was no one there. The first signs of doom. As he moved further into the village, Daniel felt an unsettling sensation creeping up his spine, the feeling of being watched. Every window he passed seemed to hold unseen eyes staring at him. The whispers began shortly after. At first they were faint, carried by the wind, but soon they became distinct words. "Turn back, you shouldn't be here." Daniel spun around, but there was no one behind him. His heart pounded in his chest. Was it paranoia, the wind, or something else? Determined to prove the legend wrong, he pressed forward. Then he noticed something strange. His footprints in the dirt had vanished. The path he had taken was no longer behind him. It was as if the village itself had swallowed his tracks. The vanishing village. As night fell, Daniel set up his camera and began documenting his findings. He spoke about the village's eerie stillness, the whispers, the food that never spoiled. But when he replayed his footage, his face paled. There was no village on the screen, just an empty forest. He spun around, his breath quickening. The houses were still there, weren't they? The lanterns still burned. But the longer he stared, the more they seemed to blur, as though they were fading from existence. The whispers grew louder. "You have to leave before it's too late." Trapped in the curse. Panic clawed at his chest. He ran towards the entrance of the village, but no matter which way he turned, he ended up back at the same central square. The streets twisted and shifted like a living maze. The village wouldn't let him go. A sudden sound made him freeze, a soft creaking. Slowly, he turned his head toward one of the houses. The door had opened on its own. Inside, a figure stood in the darkness. Daniel's breath hitched. The figure was blurred, featureless, its body flickering like a candle flame. And then it stepped forward. The lost souls. The whispers turned into screams. Daniel fell to his knees, clutching his ears as the voices overlapped in an overwhelming cacophony. "Join us. We waited so long. No one leaves." Through the chaos, he realized the horrifying truth. These were the voices of those who had come before him. Travelers, explorers, villagers, all lost in the village's grasp, their souls forever trapped in its cursed existence. The figure in the doorway was closer now, reaching out. Its touch was ice cold. As it gripped his arm, Daniel felt his body go numb, his vision darkening. He struggled, but his limbs refused to obey him. He was becoming one of them. The final transmission. Days later, Daniel's camera was found at the edge of the forest by a local hunter. There was no sign of Daniel himself. The last video recorded showed him speaking to the camera, his voice trembling. "If anyone finds this, don't come looking for me. Don't come looking for the village. It's real. And once you enter, you never leave." The camera flickered, and just before the footage ended, a whisper seeped through the speakers. Soft, chilling, familiar. "Join us." The hunter dropped the camera and ran. He never spoke of it again, and the village remained as it always had, hidden, waiting for the next visitor foolish enough to seek it out. No one ever returns. The village's endless cycle. The village does not simply exist. It is a living, breathing entity that thrives on the souls of those who enter. It does not discriminate. Anyone who sets foot within its boundaries becomes its prey. The moment Daniel crossed into the village, he unknowingly became part of its never-ending curse. It was not just a collection of old houses, but a trap designed to ensnare and consume. The cycle is simple yet inescapable. A wanderer, explorer, or lost traveler stumbles upon the village. They believe they are the first to find it, the first to uncover its mystery. But the village has been waiting. It allows them to explore, to document, to feel a sense of discovery. And just when they believe they have a chance to leave, the village changes. The paths twist, landmarks vanish, and the victim finds themselves going in circles, their footprints erased, their presence absorbed. Psychological and supernatural horror. This story delves deep into two intertwining horrors, the fear of losing one's sanity and the dread of an inescapable fate. Psychological horror plays a crucial role as Daniel experiences the slow unraveling of his reality. The village manipulates his senses, making him question whether he is truly alone or merely surrounded by unseen forces. The loss of control, the feeling of being watched, and the realization that escape is impossible weigh heavily on his mind, creating a suffocating terror that intensifies with every passing moment. On the supernatural side, the village itself is an eldritch entity. Its houses appear solid, yet they shift and disappear when one looks away. The voices whisper warnings, yet they belong to those who never escaped. Objects move, shadows elongate, and reality bends, defying every logical explanation. The village does not kill outright, it wears its victims down until they willingly surrender. This combination of psychological torment and supernatural horror ensures that the fear lingers not just for Daniel, but for anyone who hears his story. The open-ended terror. Unlike traditional horror stories that conclude with a resolution, this one offers no comfort. The village is still out there waiting. It remains hidden from the world, its curse continuing in an endless loop. Daniel's story does not end with his escape or survival. It ends with uncertainty. His camera was found, but he was not. The final recording, the chilling whisper of "Join us," suggests that he has become one of the village's many victims. This ending leaves readers with lingering unease. If a village can erase people from existence so thoroughly, what's stopping someone else from stumbling upon it? What if a hiker, a traveler, or even the reader themselves unknowingly walks too far into the woods one day? The horror is not just in what happened, but in what could still happen. The village is not gone. It is simply waiting for the next visitor to arrive. Thank you guys for watching. If you want more videos like this, make sure to like the video and hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video.